Hey garden friends, Landon Gilfillan here with Pepper and Pine Garden Design, and we're out in the garden today filling in the empty spaces where we lost a lot of our plants from the hard freeze we got a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen that video or know what I'm talking about, you can watch it here. But we had a crazy hard freeze after a really bad rainstorm that caused me to lose basically all my cauliflowers and broccolis, which were supposed to tolerate the colder weather, but just the two storms together knocked them out. So we're out here today filling in those spaces with some more cauliflower and purple cabbages and Brussels sprouts and onions and leeks. Pretty much tonight's going to be our last hard freeze, which shouldn't affect these plants because I've been hardening them off. I'm going to cover them just to be sure. But they've been hardening off outside in the cool weather, and I think they're fine. In fact, last night we had similar temperatures, and I left some of my plants uncovered, and they pulled through great, so I'm not too worried about it. But what I wanted to show you is, in some of my other videos, I've been showing you the way that I do a no-till or no-dig garden. I like to call it lasagna gardening, where I layer, just like lasagna, different organic matter from the ground up to make these really great nutrient-dense beds. And I start the base, generally always start the base with cardboard. I'll lay a bunch of cardboard down, I'll soak it really good, and then on top of that, I'll layer compost, leaves, straw, grass, wood chips, basically whatever I have on hand, and build up and then plant down directly into it. And in some of the videos, I've mentioned that you can actually plant instantly after you've planted these beds, depending on how thick you've done them. So what I want to show you is right now I'm actually planting some of these cauliflowers into a lasagna garden that I put together last week. And I wanted to thank you, Tater Tot. I wanted to show you how I'm doing that, because some of you may be wondering, how do their roots, how are they supposed to grow when you've got undecomposed cardboard inches below where you're putting your plant? And also, why the cardboard? Well, the cardboard is actually a thick covering that's going to help smother out any weeds or sod or grass that may be below the surface. So I scratched back as much as I could with a rake, laid that cardboard down and soaked it, and the purpose of is to provide a barrier that light cannot penetrate to kill off the weeds that are remaining under the surface. And then of course you build up from there to give your garden lots of nutrient dense organic material that it can use to feed your plants. So let me show you how I am planting these plants directly into that lasagna garden that I built last week. So you can see here, I've already been planting all these cauliflowers in the ground here. I'm going to actually interplant them with some shallots I have over there. So you can see here, I've got them spaced out about a foot, and then I've got one staggered in the middle between those, and then over across the way. So I think from about here to here, if my estimation is correct, this is about a, oh, I should know, this is a 4 foot, that's right, it's 4 foot wide bed. So 4 foot by 4 foot space, I'm putting 9 cauliflower plants. Okay, so I'm gonna show you right here, is the cardboard. I've got about 2 to 3 inches of wood chips on top, and underneath it, I've got some really great soil that we've been building over the winter with chicken manure and straw and leaves and all kinds of good stuff. So this is really nice and moist. It's already starting to decompose. So all I really have to do is just push my trowel down through the cardboard and pull it back. And I've made myself a little space right there, and I'm just going to pop, however you want to put it, this little cauliflower plant right down in there. And I'm putting it pretty deep. I want the stem to be completely covered by the wood chips and the dirt. That's also going to help it on those cold nights to be nice and insulated. And then I'm just covering it right up. So there might be a weed that tries to get through that little space, but likely not. That the cardboard is really going to help continue to keep that light barrier and keep those weeds out, but it's allowing me to push through and plant these cauliflowers down. So I'll do one more here. Again, about 2 to 3 inches of wood chips, and there's the cardboard, and I'm just going to poke down through it like this, make a little hole. I don't need much space, and the ground is really nice and pliable down there, so the roots will spread. I can see some grass roots down in there, but they're yellowing and they're dying off, so that's good. This one has a little bit longer stem, so I'm gonna dig a little deeper because I want that stem fully buried. There we go. And I'm just gonna pop it in there. I'm gonna push it down real good, cover it up with the dirt and the wood chips. And there we go. That's exactly how I'm planting these in this instant lasagna garden bed. And I'm gonna continue to plant these out, and then I'm going to put, I think I've decided where I'm gonna put my strawberries and my asparagus over here. I'm gonna make my strawberry bed is what I've decided. So I'm gonna work on those here shortly. Awesome. So I'm excited. I got all those cauliflower in the ground. They were really starting to look kind of puny from being in that tray for so long, but I just did not want to put them in the ground too soon. Now I'm going to plant some shallots. I've actually interplanted a lot of onions and garlic with my brassicas this year. And the reason for that is the smell, the pungent smell that onions and garlic put off help deter cabbage moths and other caterpillars that you generally will find on brassica plants. So by planting really pungent, onions and garlic and aromatic herbs like dill and oregano and rosemary next to brassicas, you can help deter those pests from finding the plant, because instead of smelling the cabbage or the broccoli or the kale, they will smell the onions and the herbs and they'll be confused. So I've got dill planted over here with my early Jersey Wakefield cabbages. I've got garlic interplanted with my cauliflower. I've got all kinds of onions planted with my kales and chards and Brussels sprouts and my mustard. So that was for a reason. So I'm going to plant these. I keep forgetting what they're called. Red sun shallots. I've never grown shallots before. I've always wanted to. I just haven't ordered them. So I finally got myself some shallots ordered. I'm going to put these in the ground. And from there, I'm going to move on to hopefully getting the strawberries and I think the asparagus in the ground today. We'll see. Okay, I've made a decision about my strawberries. I'm excited about this. And one of the reasons I chose the spot that I did is it's right inside the gate. So right when we come in, we'll have strawberries to munch on while we're in the garden. And the plants that I have all the way down this row are not permanent. So I'll be able to plant all these strawberries this year and continue to add. So we have a nice long strawberry bed. So I'm happy about this choice. Not that I wanted all my broccolis to die, but I'm kind of glad they did, because this ended up being a better situation to use this space for some other plants than what I had originally planned. So I went to the store and I bought some Albion Ever-Bearing strawberries. These they ripen through the summer, and of course they're probably a hybrid because they're disease resistant, which I'm okay with. And each of these supposedly has, I think it was like a 10 count. I can't remember how many come in each of these pots. But basically, if you grow them like this, what you're going to do is you're going to just separate out each individual plant. And I prefer buying them like this versus buying the dried starts. I have bought those in the past and have not had a lot of luck with them. I've ended up losing like half of the plants that I buy. So I like buying them live like this and then separating them out. You can also get like from friends that are separating or splitting their strawberry beds, because they multiply and will continue to grow. You can actually divide your own strawberries or from a friend and move them down the row. So next year I could divide these and then spread them out, or buy a different variety if I want. So these really easily separate. You can see that, and I'll give you a count here in a minute on how many I have. So super easy to separate. I'm also going to be doing this exact process with my asparagus plants that I may be showing you in this video as well. So let me separate these out. Let's see how many we get. I may have way more than I had planned, which is fine, because it's good to have a lot of strawberry plants because they don't produce that much per plant. So yeah, a 25 count, and I've got 4 of these. So I've got 100 strawberry plants, which is awesome. Does it tell me how to space these? Space 8 to 12 inches apart, which is about what I would have done. So I'm gonna go ahead and start planting these. One one thing I should mention when you're planting strawberries is you want to make sure to keep their crown above the soil. So when you're looking at a strawberry plant, you have their roots, stems, obviously, and then right here, there's kind of this mass right where the stem meets. It's like this kind of intersection of roots and stems. See that? That's a really good example of the crown. This part right here, you want this right at soil level. Really try not to bury it. Now, if you put mulch around it, it should be okay because that mulch is loose and it'll drain really well. You just want to, strawberry plants need drainage or their roots will rot basically, and they just won't thrive. So again, just make sure this part right here is right at soil level, not buried below. The rest of this can go directly into and under the dirt. Cats, I love them, but they drive me crazy in the garden. Well, as it turned out, I actually ended up planting 3 sections of strawberries. And actually, that'll turn out great because if one area gets picked off, I'll have another one that's still good. So I've got 36 plants here, and then over here in this bed with radishes and carrots in between. I've got probably 50 here and 50 over there. Now something cool is I just finished these beds. I just did 2 lasagna garden beds here. And on this one, what I basically did is I made a little trench and I laid the roots down in the trench, covered it up, and then just made sure that the crown of the strawberry plant was sitting up straight. And I'm about to water this whole garden to make sure it gets soaked, the cardboard gets soaked and the plants get soaked, and their roots can grow horizontally, but as that cardboard decomposes, then they'll be able to grow down as well. So I think this is going to work out. We'll see. Again, I like to experiment and see what works and what doesn't. And I have plenty of plants. I don't necessarily want to lose them, but it'll be a really good testament to this lasagna garden style of gardening. So I'll let you know. But let me show you real quick what I'm talking about just so you can get a sense of it. So here they are. Aren't they beautiful? So I'm just pulling this up so I can show you. I kind of hate to do it, but it's okay. So I just made a trench like this. This is probably about 4 or 5 inches deep. And I just lay the roots down horizontally like that, cover them up, and then I just make sure the crown is upright. And there's lots of nutrition in this bed because it's got the composted manure and the wood chips. So I think this is really gonna fare well. But that's what I did to get all these in the ground. And these over here, similarly, those I kind of dug down because they didn't have cardboard at the base. So I'm gonna cover these tonight. I'm gonna move some of this frost cloth from the plants that I know that are fine and cover these for the night because we are supposed to have temperatures down 34 degrees. These strawberries should be fine because they've been hardened off, but just to be sure, I'm gonna cover them up. And I think I'm done for the day. I would really love to get my asparagus in the ground, and I think I have decided I'm gonna plant it in this row right here. But other duties call, so I might just save the asparagus for another day. But thank you for joining me on this video. It's been so fun to like walk through this process with you guys and following along. I think it's super fun to watch something like this come together and just become abundant with life and see how it goes. I personally love just going back and rewatching these videos to see where we started and where we end up. So I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, subscribe below, please. It'll help me grow this channel. Make sure you subscribe. And thanks for joining again. My name is Landon Gilfillan here at Pepper and Pine Garden Design, growing gardeners and their gardens. We'll see you in the next video.